Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pokémon Chat-eau. Now I guess we should address what happened last week while we weren't able to record. So, my phone fucked up and I was unable to use the microphone or the speaker. I couldn't make calls or anything like that, which affected me recording this.
Out of curiosity, did Apple fix your phone?
No, I got a brand new phone.
They replaced it for free?
No, actually I had Sprint before.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be with Sprint anymore. So I actually switched to T-Mobile like the next day after the recording failed. And then they got me the 8 now. Which, you know, like, as you said, iPhone fucking, they break on purpose.
Yes.
Which is fine. I'm just too reliant on Apple products right now.
Okay.
So, like, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But whatever. That is settled. It is done. I got a new phone, new recording.
So Pokemon.
Yes. Hopefully we
The
will.
type chart.
The type chart. This is something that Cam wanted to do, actually.
Yes, something I'm very much looking forward to. We had all the hype in the world, produced a wonderful episode, except that it was really long.
Yeah. So hopefully.
Extremely long. We went through all 18 types, explaining why it worked the way it did. And I'll say, like I did in the last video, I am 99% sure that the reasonings that we're about to give you are why the type chart is the way it is. There are a couple that I'll call myself out on, but for not being 100%. But for the most part, my money is that these are what they were going for when they designed it the way they did.
And it makes sense, for the most part. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, so if we sound like we're in a hurry, it's because last time we did this, it was over an hour long, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and we
what-
lost everything,
Yeah,
so...
that's what the girl said. So we're probably just gonna blitz through this.
We're gonna, we'll talk about the more interesting stuff, but like, if repeats come, we'll skip over it because
Okay.
we already talked about them.
Starting off with
yeah.
normal type.
Normal types.
Yep.
Interesting type. I mean, basically, normal type is the normal human being.
Yeah, the normal Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like a mouse or a bird. Or...
They're not super effective to anything, and they deal half damage to rock and steel types, which
right,
makes
because
perfect sense.
Yeah, normal people don't train to be stronger than rocks.
You ever
and
try to
steel,
punch
you know?
a brick wall? It hurts.
Yeah, unless you're trained in martial arts, which we'll get to.
And then a steel, yep, same thing. You're gonna hurt your hand.
Now, uniquely, they do no damage. Well, not uniquely, but they do no damage to ghosts. It's because they're normal attacks. You can't tackle a ghost.
Yeah,
unless
you can
you're
try.
On fire.
Unless you're Odor Sleuth it
Yeah,
for some
I guess
reason.
so.
Oh, I sniffed it out. Now I can
And then
punch it.
defensively, they take double damage to fighting. This makes sense. You learn how to fight so that you're better than normal people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that you can defend yourself. And they take no damage against ghosts. This is our first of the fun ones. Guys, they take no damage against ghosts because normal people don't believe in ghosts.
That's
why that works.
I love
Come
that.
on, man. Like, it's so obvious, you know?
And they also take they don't have any resistances either.
Yep.
So like
no
everything is like
resistances. Pretty basic.
yep. What order are we going down this time?
We'll go left, right.
Alright, so fire. Let's go.
Fire type. Alright, so fire type, offensively, pretty potent stuff. They do double damage against bug, grass, ice, and steel, which makes sense.
All of them make sense.
They do half damage against dragon, fire, rock, and water. Alright, so I said this last time, personally, I feel that they should do half damage to ground as well as rock.
It only makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
they're basically the same. You know what I mean? There's slight differences between rock and ground in a mechanic, like just looking at it.
Yep.
Especially in the game itself.
Second, so let's explain some things. Steel makes sense, ice, grass, bug, all that. Dragon. Why does dragon resist fire, water, grass, electric?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for one, those were the 4 starter types.
Yep. If you count yellow.
If you count yellow, those are the 4 starter types. I remember somebody saying, I don't know if it was true or not, but I remember reading that. Don't you hate when people are like, I read it online somewhere?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really did. I read it online somewhere that somebody had some kind of interview, And the mindset was that dragons were supposed to be a more powerful type that you could not have type advantage against just based on your stats.
Okay.
Which is a little redundant because dragons are only effective against dragons.
Right.
So, the other mindset is that the dragons resist the elements they're most commonly associated with.
I mean, they're majestic
They're forces
beasts.
of nature.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're forces of nature. So resisting fire, grass, electric, and water.
They breathe fire. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. So, defensively, they take half damage from bug, fairy, fire, grass, ice, and steel. Why fairy types? People might wonder.
Yeah.
Because fairies traditionally are forest creatures.
that's so crazy.
They are. They should be an offshoot of grass type. In all honesty.
Yeah.
And grass should resist fairy type attacks as well.
Because you're saying the fairies, they would live in grasslands or in
Exactly.
trees.
Fairies
and whatnot.
traditionally live in the forest. Like elves, the stories of elves and mythology and all that crap comes from myths about fairies.
Right.
Anyway, take half damage against all that stuff. It makes sense. Takes double damage against from ground, rock, and water. Again, these things are logical. They make sense to me. You could split hairs and have electric resist each other, since electricity in real life typically burns you
Yeah,
in
yeah.
high amounts. Anyway, moving on.
That's a lot of resistances, actually, now that I see that.
Yeah. Fire's pretty broke type. Fighting type.
Yes. The cam type.
Yeah, my boys. Alright, so fighting types. They are double effective on dark, ice, normal, rock, and steel. Why do they do double damage to dark? So
This is interesting.
yeah, dark type, and I think this is the majority of why it took so long last time.
Yeah.
Dark type is actually evil type in Japanese.
I didn't even know that until you told me a few
Yep.
weeks ago. Like, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
And that's why a lot of the physical attacks are sneaky shit, like sucker punch and foul play and beat up,
Snatch.
snatch, thief, fling.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
I think fling is dark type.
I believe so, too, yeah.
Knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're supposed to be sneaky.
Nasty
They're
flaw,
they're
like-
supposed to be like traditionally evil characters. And when you think about it like that, it's fighting types or warriors. They beat the thief or rogue types, which are dark, and then thief rogues beat mages, which are psychic, and then psychics beat the warriors, which are fighting. You see
Like
what
you
I
were
mean?
saying, like the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
tribe.
they formed the dungeon, the D&D trio. So like that's why like fighting types are heroic, are meant to be viewed as heroic Pokemon, even though they got a bad rap in the anime.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that you send in the hero to beat
The sneaky villain.
the evil villain, exactly. And anyway, so double damage against ice. Guys, they break rocks with their fists. That includes ice. Double damage against normal type. Double damage against rock and steel. Again, the mindset is that you're punching things. You train your body
to punch things.
to punch
Yeah.
and break stuff. They take half damage against bug. The mindset behind that is that if you punch a bug, you're gonna it's gonna sting you.
Right.
So bug and fighting type do half damage to each other.
That's really interesting. Like, because one's not stronger than the other. They just sort of exist.
Yeah, it's a deterrent force. They
Yeah.
don't want to hit. They don't want to touch one another.
They just exist together.
They do half damage against fairy type. Fairy are basically like light ghosts. You're not supposed to be able to catch them or touch them.
Yeah,
or
they're
anything
mythical.
Like that.
They're mystical creatures.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And not from mystical in the sense that like they don't exist, like they don't have a physical form like ghosts. It's just, fairy happened to fill the archetype that they needed to neuter psychic, or not psychic, but to neuter
Dragons.
dragon, fighting, and dark types.
Right.
Fairy was the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Like mythologically speaking, and
It's
type
yeah,
speaking.
like it's freaking crazy how accurate it turned out to be.
So flying type resists fighting. This is something I've always been mad about. Flying can do double damage. Flying is not wind type. They're supposed to be flying creatures. It's supposed to be bird type, essentially.
Why would wind be super effective against fighting, anyways?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Right.
it doesn't make sense. Like, oh well, you can't hit it. Yeah, cool. That explains why they resist it. but if a bird tries to dive bomb me, it's gonna hurt itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially
I promise you, if I punch a bird, the bird's fucking going down. Okay?
Unless
it's a cassowary. We've been over that. I don't want to mess with that bird. But yeah, birds are fragile creatures, and the idea of fighting is to not be fragile.
Yeah, I mean, their wings are basically like twigs, you know what I mean?
So yeah, it's bullshit, and I think it's wrong. I'm gonna be straight up. Like, the logic behind why it does half and why they're super effective is because you can't reach it because it's in the air.
Okay, so the resistance...
Cool, but it can't reach me either.
So the resistance is fine, it's them taking double damage, that's bullshit.
Yes.
Okay.
They should not do double damage to fighting types. They should resist it. That can make sense, I guess. But they should not take double damage from flying. Poison. Do half damage to poison. Poison, if you think about it physically, is amorphous. It's like blob-like. You can't really punch it. Yeah, and see, poison resistant, but poison is not super effective against fighting type. It's bullshit.
We'll
I think
get to
flying and poison.
Yeah.
I think flying and poison should have been switched.
Poison got the short end of the stick in this
for
game.
years. It still does. It still has the short end of the stick. And it does no damage against ghosts because, for some reason, even if you shoot it with chi, you can't hit a ghost.
Yeah, like or sphere. Like,
yeah, even though you're shooting it with an energy blast, you still can't.
And you skimmed over psychic, which is mind over.
Yeah, mind over matter.
Yeah, brain versus brawn.
Which again, I'm not sure. I think psychic should take normal damage. I think they should deal double damage. Because if I punch a nerd, it's still gonna hurt.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean.
They resist bug, dark, and rock.
Yeah, we covered that. Mm-hmm. The sneaky tricks don't work on the hero. Rock can't hurt them. See, that's the thing. I actually used to get tripped up with fighting type resistances because I knew they were super effective against so many. I assumed they resisted the same thing too.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, because they don't resist ice or steel.
Yeah, and you, I mean...
Oh, hell, even normal, oddly enough.
So...
Alright, that's kind of whatever. Then they take double damage from fairy, flying, and psychic.
And we already covered basically all three of those.
Right.
Also, fairies, this is something I forgot to bring up last time. Fairies are known to trick warriors.
Really? No.
Yes. So fairies from Celtic mythology were more malevolent or chaotic, neutral, I guess. They were more like traditional Loki type characters in Celtic and Arthurian lore. Mm-hmm. And so they love to fuck with knights. So
basically, if you would have it your way, get rid of the flying weakness and add poison instead?
Yes.
That way they can still have 3.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That makes more sense than the bird one.
Yeah.
Birds can resist it, that's fine. They can both still resist.
Warriors get sick, and that kills them.
Yes, exactly, bro. Alright, so next type, water. Take the lead on this one.
Water. This one, you brought up a good point last time as well with this one. But,
poison. Poor poison, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, they deal double damage to fire, ground, and rock.
All this makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Extinguish fire, blah, blah, blah. They deal half damage to dragon, which you've explained.
Well, again, dragons typically in Eastern mythology live in water. And certain Western. Do you consider the Hydra a dragon?
Yeah.
The Hydra lives in the water.
Yeah.
It lived in a
lake. They live in caves with a lot of water drips and whatnot. Again, to grass.
And they take half damage to themselves.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll notice, that's the first type we've come up to, except fire. I take that back. Fire was the first type. But water resists itself. Fighting and normal do not.
Yeah.
And the reason behind that is that fighting types don't resist themselves because...
They punch each other.
There's different martial arts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then normal types, you can have 2 people punching and
they're
going to hurt each other.
Yeah, people can tackle each other. It's called playing football, you know what I mean? It still hurts to get hit.
Now, defensively, they take half damage from fire, ice, steel, and water. So, water recovered, fire is going to extinguish itself.
You could make an argument for being effective against steel with rust.
Yeah, that's how I feel, honestly. Because, actually, we have a water fan in our shop, and, it's rusty as hell now after so many years of putting water in it, so it can blow. Yeah, it's falling apart.
Exactly.
So I feel like they can get away with steel being weak.
Yeah, FYI, stainless steel isn't. For the record.
and then take double damage from electric and grass. So
See,
only 2 weaknesses.
Our personal opinion should be weak to poison type.
Yeah, because water can get contaminated.
Water pollution is such a big deal right now. I don't understand
Definitely.
how they missed that.
Water can be easily contaminated, and like it kills animals when it's like infused in the ocean.
It would flip a lot of typing stuff on its head too.
And it would give poison more use, because poison's just kind of
We
there.
get the poison, man. It's a sad day in poison history.
So yeah, water's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
Flying.
Going to flying.
Your favorite typing.
I actually really like flying type.
Just that one little...
Just that one thing that I think is BS. So, double damage to bug, fighting, and grass types. Fighting's bullshit, we covered that.
Birds eat bugs.
Yes,
Yeah.
Birds eat bugs. Why do they hate grass? Because they tear up the grass looking for the bugs.
Not only that, they tear up trees to put twigs into nests. So there we go.
They do half damage to electric, rock, and steel.
All makes sense to me.
Yes.
Although you did bring up the interesting, like, little kind of what the fuck with electric and flying.
Yeah, for one thing, birds don't get struck out of the sky much from lightning,
Right.
or a rock, for that matter.
Well, I mean, that's based on the two birds with one stone.
Right, but that's something that nobody gets. That's meant to talk about how hard it is. That's supposed to be a challenge. Oh, you got 2 birds with 1 stone. That's meant to be, like, impossible.
Yeah,
that's
good
not
job,
meant
dude.
to be a casual thing. You know what I mean? Most people can't even make a basket, like, throwing their water bottle away. What makes you think you're gonna hit a bird? You know what I mean?
With a friggin' rock, let alone 2 birds.
Although I do like that that's why most rock moves have low accuracy.
Oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense. I think what's rock slides at like 95,
Yep.
90 or something like that. Oh,
And
that's interesting.
Stone
yeah.
Edge's nickname is Stone Miss.
Yeah, because it's 90, but it still misses half the time.
Yep. But again, yeah, so flying is more meant to be bird or just airborne
Avian,
techniques
yeah.
in general. It's not really meant to be wind, you know?
And like you said, I guess because they're
They added some
closer.
wind stuff. They added wind stuff like Air Slash and Aero
Oh,
Blast. But
yeah.
for a while, wasn't Gust normal?
I think it
Wasn't
was
Gust a
actually.
normal type attack?
That's so weird. Like Fly was
Fly
a
was
flying
flying.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like that makes sense. But like the wind moves, Razor Wind was normal
That's
attack.
right. Yeah, it was normal.
So anyway, defensive, half damage from bug fighting a grass.
So the
Word
same
says that.
thing.
Double damage from electric, ice, rock. That makes sense. I mean, birds chill out on power lines all the time, so that's a little weird. But I guess whatever, you know.
Yeah, and they also don't they.
Are immune to ground.
Oh well, yeah, because they're flying in the
Yeah,
air.
because they're in the air.
What's also interesting is that they take double damage from ice, but they don't deal half damage to ice.
Yep.
So that's
And I think that's bullshit too. I think that
Ice
ice
should resist it.
should resist
Yeah.
flying type, especially if ice has any other extra resistance. It should be flying type. That's something they should
birds
change
fly down
right
south.
now.
Yeah, like birds fly down south because they hate the cold.
Exactly. Ice don't give a fuck about how big you are, bird.
Yeah.
Ice will chill out hard. Okay, normal damage, dog. It
Yeah.
shouldn't care about brave bird. You know how brave you gonna be flying into a blizzard. You know what I'm saying?
No shit. Unless you're like Moltres.
Yeah. Alright, so grass type. Grass is a quick one, I believe.
Yeah, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Oh god, just looking at the
Yep.
what things are resistant to it. Jesus.
Yeah, ice is kind of a shitty type. Or grass.
Yeah. So
Ice is definitely a shitty type, but it's not
un-
Ice's fault. It's fucking
yeah.
Game Freak.
Unfortunately, but they deal double to ground, rock, and water. Makes sense.
Yep.
They deal half to bug, dragon, fire, flying, grass, poison, and steel. Good
So out of
lord.
18 types, 7 of them resist it.
Jesus Christ.
And some of those are really popular type combinations.
Very much so. I mean, honestly, I would think people play grass just to play Spore. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? 100%
They do!
sleep.
They do!
Yeah.
That's why the attacking move on the Moongus is always a Sludge Bomb or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's never a grass attack.
Yeah, because grass is a miserable type. Let's fix that. Make fairy weak to grass.
Because, like, we'll see bugs eat grass. Dragon recovered. Fire's obvious. Flying recovered. Grass resists grass.
Yep.
Makes sense. Grass, poison's super effective against grass.
Makes
because
sense.
of the, what I'm trying to think. The poisons they put into the grass.
Pesticide, yeah.
There we go. Pesticides. That's what I was looking for.
Well, pesticides and herbicides, I believe. I can't remember the proper term, but like weed killers.
Yeah, and then steel. I mean, what's it gonna do? Grow around it?
Well, yeah, and I was to say, they should resist fairy. Fairy should resist
that's a
grass,
good
and
point.
grass should resist fairy. Because, again, fairy are traditionally freaking forest creatures, and that would be a good way to tie it in and just make it a bit more balanced and interesting, you know?
Yeah, give grass something.
Exactly.
I mean, jeez.
And that would make, grass types a bit more viable, because then all of them are going to carry resistance to fairy. Alright, well, that's grass. Moving on. Oh, right, I think electric should be weak to grass, or grass should at least resist. Oh, it does resist electric.
Yeah, like, it resists electric, grass, ground, and water, and takes double from bug, fire, flying, ice, and poison. Makes sense.
But yeah, grass is a good insulator for electricity. When people are being electrocuted, you're supposed to run and grab a traditional wooden broom and knock their hands off of it, because it won't travel through wood. So
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to go with the logic that electricity is only weak to ground because of that, then we're on poison now, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, if you're going to go with the logic that electricity is only weak to ground because you ground electricity to get rid of it, wood should count too. You can touch
Wood and
wood to
grass,
it and
yeah.
it will ground it.
And wood's part of grass, so...
Yep.
Alright, what do we got this time?
Poison. The forgotten child.
Oh, this poor
Look at this. This is pathetic, man. Offensively, only good against fairy and grass. 2 types? Why not water? Immediately obvious. And it should be. It should do double damage to ground too, because you can poison the ground. You can
Yeah.
poison the earth, and fucking nothing will grow there. It will not.
Yeah.
It will not seed life. It's ridiculous, man. Anyway, does half damage to itself, to ground, rock, and ghost. I can understand not poisoning rock or ghost, because ghosts are ephemeral. You can't really poison them.
Right.
Especially since Ghastly is half ghost, the original.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like a negative, like a poisonous spirit, he's toxic.
Yeah, yeah.
0 damage to steel, yeah. Steel is immune to him. Makes sense. You can't poison steel. It's not really alive.
It's just gonna slide off the steel. All the poison
And
shit.
defensively, fighting types take half damage from it. I disagree. I think fighting types should be weak to it and should take and flying should resist it. I think flying for the fighting type. I think that the way that poison and flying interact should be swapped.
Yes.
You can poison a fighter. A bird's not going to do much to it.
Yeah.
Half damage to itself. Half damage from bug. Bugs are poison.
Well,
they kill
pesticides,
bugs.
yeah.
Exactly. Pesticides. Half damage from grass. Half damage from fairy. Why fairy? Because again, that goes into the logic that fairy is from nature, and they're susceptible.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
just as susceptible to poisons as. In fact, most fairies were like plant life or insect life. You know what I mean? And they do double damage to ground and psychic. Or they take double damage from ground and psychic.
So yeah, only 2 weaknesses, but only good against 2 types. Like, come on, guys. And poison it just needs more love.
I was just saying, I think water. Just add water to
Yeah.
that list. Add water to that list, and that would be wonderful. Amazing. Imagine the type matchups then against water. They'd flip a lot of the meta on its head with these changes. Now let's go to my least favorite type. Electric.
Yeah.
I dislike electric the most just because it is the easiest to break. It only has 1 weakness, and that weakness happens to be a type that is very easy to be immune to it. Just add the flying thing, and there you have Zapdos and Thundurus. 2
Yeah.
Pokemon that have completely warped the competitive scene around them because they're so easy to build around their weaknesses.
Yeah, like
They should, and I've always said this,
they're still being used today.
they should be weak to rock too. That makes no sense. at all.
Only ground though. I don't.
I get it.
Even then, like-
You ground electricity to stop it. Alright, but wood can do that job too. And rock is already earth. You know? It's ridiculous. And think about what that would do. If Zapdos were weak to ground too. Or were weak to rock.
4 times effective.
All 3 of the legendary birds would have a 4 times weakness to rock.
It would. People would. He would be less seen as well. As
Exactly. It would flip that crap on its head, because I'm tired of it. Zapdos is, like, literally on every team. Every other year in Pokemon online competitions, Zapdos is on every team. And Thundurus was on every team every year he was allowed, until the last one. Because they changed the stuff with Prankster. You know? It's ridiculous. So, offensively, they do double damage to flying and water. That makes sense, I guess. If
the water especially makes sense, yeah.
Do half damage to dragon itself and grass. We've already covered that. Grass. See, again, they kind of got that logic. Grass is a good insulator.
Yeah.
Wood is a good insulator, and so I think they should get the weakness too. But
I mean,
whatever.
I think there was only. I remember one instance where in the anime, Pikachu tried to use electric on a Bellsprout, and it did nothing because he was planted in the ground. So it should have been. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, they do nothing to ground. We've already covered that. It makes
Obviously.
sense. They take half damage from electric, flying, and steel. That makes sense. Steel is a conductor. I mean, you could cut lines. I feel like that's something where steel could be weak to electricity.
Right, or at least take normal damage.
Yep. And they take double damage from just ground. Which again, I find
only
dumb.
ground. It's the only other type that has only one weakness.
Yep.
With normal, but normal doesn't do anything to anyone else.
Yep.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Well, if you factor in immunities,
I guess. Well,
then that's fair.
I guess so. Yeah, because
I guess they're immune to ghost. Has a couple of weaknesses. Anyway, well, no, they're immune to ghost. You're right. I totally forgot about that. They're immune to each other. Why don't we have more types that are like that?
That would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of quit trying after a while. They just built types to cover up other weaknesses without balancing those types within. All right, well, we're already almost 30 minutes into this thing, and we're, I think, just now halfway through it.
It'll get faster and faster though as we get through it, just because we can skip what we already talked about.
Ground type. Offensively, good against electric, fire, poison, rock, steel. Electric makes sense. Fire, you have to have heat, fuel, air, and that takes away the heat and the air. Yeah. You know, so that makes sense. You try and smother fire out in the woods with dirt and rock. Right? Yeah. And it's good against steel because we talked about this last time. Yeah, the foundation can only be shaken. You have buildings, skyscrapers that are designed to withstand blizzards, tornadoes, hurricanes. You cannot build around an earthquake. Yeah. If it hits, it's
good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And takes half damage from bug and grass, or it does half damage to bug and grass. The logic behind that is that grass is already rooted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can shake
and
all it wants.
Bugs are too small to be affected by earthquakes.
They're smaller than the blades of grass.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Defensively, they take half damage from poison and rock. Again, logically, I guess you would spread the poison through the ground. But again, that just poisons the earth.
Right.
You know, I think that's actually a lapse in judgment. I think it should have been backwards. And they take half damage from rock. What are you gonna do? Throw rock into itself?
Yeah, right. It came from ground.
We already covered their immune to electricity. They take double damage from grass, ice, water. Ice will freeze the foundation.
Right.
And shatter. Makes it easier to break the.
Yeah, it's kind of like, water gets into the cracks of it and then freezes and then spreads it and then bam.
Exactly. And now we're on psychic type.
My device is already dead. This thing has a terrible battery life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
yeah, mine's fucking.
we can just tag out.
Alright, that'll work. Where we at? Psychic?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Psychic does double damage to fighting and poison.
Makes sense. We already covered both of those. Oh, well, we didn't cover poison.
No, we did not.
So, poison I guess we should have. Did we already talk about poison type?
Yeah.
And we skipped psychic? That was dumb of me. Anyways,
Yeah.
so the reason why poison doesn't really affect psychic much is because this is more of a martial arts thing, but in the East, psychics are supposed to be able to purge the body of toxins.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
supposed to be able to feel where the poison is in your body and then cleanse it.
That's really interesting.
Like a lot of monk characters do that stuff. Iron Fist can do that.
No shit.
Yeah. And it's a, Doctor Strange can do that. And it's like a psychic ability.
Oh, okay.
But again, in the East, psychic and martial arts are combined. They're one and the same.
Yeah. And then deals half damage to psychic itself and steel.
Because that's a battle of the minds and steel. So we talked about the interesting one because Alakazam is shown bending metal spoons. You're probably like, what? Why doesn't steel resist it? Because this goes into Lucario's typing. Lucario is the Iron Will Pokemon. That is one of his nicknames. You can't bend an Iron Will. You know, you can't manipulate that. That's why steel types resist that. They're too stubborn. You know, like that's when you get into the more metaphorical parts of Pokemon.
It receives half damage from fighting in psychic, which we've already discovered. It takes double damage from bug, dark, and ghost.
Alright, this is the reason why this got started. I read a lot of forum posts. You can actually Google, like, type chart, and you can find this forum where these kids are talking about it. And they kept going over, like, why they think psychic takes damage from these things. And one of the reasons was, like, I think it's because, like, bug types are too small or they don't have enough brain to manipulate. No, guys! They're fucking phobias. They're common fears. Mental fears. They're mental phobias. That's what psychic is weak to. They're weak to the phobias. Easy. Next question.
And what's funny, on Amino, I want to throw in some of these, what people had to say.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to go through it later. But Amazing Alolan Raichu did say, psychic is weak to ghost, dark, and bug because they are all common fears.
Yep.
So there we go. We got.
Although we gotta call it out, dark type being evil type in Japan is still associated with the dark, and evil characters are immune to smart plans. You know what I mean?
And that's why they take.
You can't outsmart the evil villain.
That's why dark takes 0% from psychic.
Exactly.
What we got next is your phone is definitely correct.
Yes.
Rock
correct.
types. Oh, rock types. They deal double damage to bug, fire, flying, and ice. You can squish a bug with a rock.
Yes. You smother out flying. Rock and ice should be weak to each other. I think,
that makes sense.
because you can break a rock with a strong enough piece of ice, and you can break ice with a strong enough piece of rock. Exactly.
That should have been a thing. They deal half to fighting.
I'm gonna be straight up with you, man. I don't think much time is put into the actual combative side of Pokemon. I'm gonna be 110% honest. I do not think they have a team. They maybe have one guy who part-time looks at the balancing mechanics.
Just one guy.
Yeah, I don't think they have a team, and I don't even think they have a full dude, a guy full-time who looks at the type chart and is like, this is fucked up, guys. We need to fix some things. It's like, what? Bro, electricity's fine. No, dude, did you go back to Gen 1, bro? Go back 10 years. Zapdos, this is a problem. He's in every team. We gotta do something about this type.
And not only that, like, they don't change it until a new type is added, and even then...
I looked up. Do you know the trick behind the pseudo-legendaries and their typings? Pseudo-legendaries are supposed to be designed to where they have a 4x weakness.
Yes, that's right.
To balance their stats, because they're supposed to be able to be used in competition.
Because we got
The legendary birds, Latios, Latias, all of them, they're supposed to be balanced. That's what I think. I think right now they need to decide. You're allowed to use the legendaries with a type fix, or you're not. I don't think you should be allowed to use Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno, Latios, Latias, Azelf,
so on and so forth.
You see all that crap because they're legendaries. They don't have a 4x weakness. They're not Cresselia, Heatran. They're not. Well, Heatran is. Heatran is balanced towards it. Ground.
Oh, 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unless they have a 4 times weakness, I don't think you should be allowed to use them. They're not, because they're not balanced for it. You have shit literally like Zapdos, who has ways to cover up all of his weaknesses and is immune to his main source of it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of all the other pseudos like Dragonite, Ice, Tyranitar fighting, Salamence, Ice again.
Metagross is the exception to that.
Yeah, he doesn't have a 4 times.
But then you go back to Garchomp,
Ice again.
The other one was Hydreigon, who
now he has.
Now he has
with
a
Gen
4
6,
times
yeah,
weakness.
with Ferret.
Yes.
And then I guess was Goodra?
Yes, Goodra was, and Goodra only has 1 type.
Yeah.
And is arguably the worst pseudo legendary, especially after Komodo got whatchamacallit.
Oh, the Z move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Z move made him the well, hold on, it's debatable whether or not the Z move puts him over the Megas. Anyway.
I was on the resistance, I believe.
Yeah, resistance-wise, rock. They take half damage from fire. Makes sense. It's exceptionally difficult to
melt rock.
To melt rock. Oh, we skipped offensive. We skipped the offensive half.
Oh, my bad.
So offensively, they take half damage. If they do half damage to fighting type again because fighting types condition their body. They take, and that was one of the things those kids said too, was fighting types. Have you ever punched a rock? That doesn't make sense. Why fighting is good against steel, rock, and ice.
Oh, is that right?
Motherfucker, have you watched any martial arts movie? That is
trained.
So popular, you know?
Not only that, like that's simple shit that they do. You know what I mean?
Everybody
like
knows
rock?
that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why I think they were kids talking about it.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you.
Now we can get back to the defensive stuff. And they do half damage to steel because steel is stronger than rock.
Yes.
They take half damage from fire, flying, normal, and poison. Normal types can't break it. We covered all those. We covered every single reason behind that. And they do double damage to fighting, grass, ground, steel, and water. Or they take double damage. They take double from fighting, grass, ground, steel, water. We covered all of those. Steel is stronger than rock. You use steel
to destroy rock
equipment. Yeah, exactly. Ice type, the other forgotten child.
Oh, poor ice types.
And what sucks about ice types is that
Weavile.
Game Freak wants them to be bulky. They want them to be very defensive typings.
And not only that, a lot of the pseudos are weak, are 4 times weak to ice.
Yep.
Dragonite, Salamence.
Offensively, ice is good against dragon, flying, grass, ground. This makes sense. Dragon really makes sense if you think your dragons are cold-blooded. I think they are personally. I don't like mammalian dragons. Come on, guys. They're supposed to be reptilian in nature.
Yeah.
You know. So all those make sense. You freeze the higher up, the colder it gets. Birds fly south for the winter. Like nobody wants to be in the snow. And they do half damage to fire itself, steel, and water. That makes sense. Steel resists it. Steel is too strong. You know, you can't really freeze steel equipment. It has to be pretty freaking cold.
Yeah, really cold. And even then, like it would be like the gears messing up, not necessarily the steel itself.
And they do half damage on water. So, defensively, I mean, with water, you freeze water. That's something I don't really get.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what gets frozen.
Ice is frozen water.
Exactly. So this is where the problem comes in. Defensively, they only resist ice. They only resist itself.
Bullshit.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. They should resist grass. They should resist ground. They should resist flying. At least flying.
And water.
Yeah. They should resist water.
Unless it's like, what's that attack?
Scald?
Yeah.
Again, that's not a fire move. It just happens to be able to burn you.
Yeah. I think it's super effective against ice.
No.
It's not?
No.
Oh, okay.
There is a move for ice that does double damage on water.
Freeze dry.
Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, again, I feel like it's just kind of picking and choosing at this point. Again, this feels like it's like poison. It feels like they forgot to update its effectiveness.
My boy Weavile.
Yeah. It's poor every ice type, really. Articuno could be super dope if it had a couple of extra freaking resistances. You know? Anyway, and they take double damage from fighting, fire, rock, and steel. With the exception of steel, fighting, fire, and rock are extremely popular attack types. So that just sucks, and it makes sense. You know, we've already covered why those beat those.
And like the rock and ice thing should be back and forth.
Yeah,
honestly,
I agree. I think rock and ice should be weak to each other. That would make things really interesting.
Yeah.
Bug type.
Oh, bugs.
Here, you can cover that one.
What do we got here? Gen 6 and onward. Oh, this is interesting. Bug is super effective against dark, grass, and psychic. Like we covered bugs eat grass, and psychic is they're afraid of bugs. Dark and bug. So we actually have someone, Jelly Donuts on Amino said, I don't understand why dark is weak against bug. Well, we have an explanation.
Yeah, we have an explanation, and this is my 1%.
Mm-hmm.
This is my 1%, where like, you kind of have to reach for it. I think this is one of two. There's one more that we haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
I can't remember which one it is, but... So, dark is evil type. Evil types attack from, hiding places with sucker punch, sneak attack.
Right.
Just, crap like that. Foul play, beat up, all that nonsense. So, bugs scare dark types. That's the thing.
They're cowardly.
Also, but like evil types are meant to be cowardly.
That's why they attack in the shadows.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, that kind of makes more sense real quick, saying that it's evil type, thinking about High Dragon and how he's based partially on King Ghidorah.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
An actual evil dragon, you know? Anyways. I think that there's a nice one in the freaking anime. Isn't there a good High Dragon?
I have no idea. Right. I stopped watching the anime at Diamond and Pearl.
Okay. Yeah.
So, oh wow, they take...
But yeah, it's because they're scared. They're scared. They're scared of bugs as well.
They deal half damage to fairy, fighting, fire, flying, ghost, poison, and steel. Good lord.
They do half damage to those?
They deal half damage.
Holy crap. Man, that's a lot. So, they do half damage to fairy. Again, fairy, insects, and nature,
they live together.
Grass all live with one another. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can...
Even though most poison types are venomous.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Or most bugs are venomous.
Yeah.
Well, okay, some bugs are venomous.
That's
not fair to say.
A decent amount.
A decent amount are. Not to a lethal degree, but some of them
spiders and whatnot.
Yeah. Half damage to fighting, we covered that. Half damage to fire, what are they gonna do? They're gonna cook themselves.
Yeah.
Birds eat them. You can't really sting a ghost, and poisons. They're already poisoned.
Pesticides, yeah.
Yeah, and steel.
What are they gonna do? Just like bink. It's like, oh well, shit.
And then defensively.
Yeah, they take half damage from fighting, grass, and ground. Again, covered all those, I believe. They live in the ground, whatnot. And then they take double damage from fire, flying, and rock. Which again, covered all those.
Yep, makes sense to me. I do feel they should be weak to poison, though.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sakes, give poison something.
Yeah, come on, it makes sense, guys. You're picking and choosing.
It's so easy.
The logic behind it.
Oh boy, dragons.
Dragons, there we go. My favorite type.
Oh boy, yeah, this one's... They're only strong against dragon.
Yep, and that comes from the popular saying, only a dragon can defeat a dragon.
Only a dragon can kill a dragon. That's really, like, considering how powerful they were in the games.
And they're meant to be looked at as these almighty, crazy, massive creatures.
And they only deal double damage to one type, and they still dominated Gen 5. You know what I mean?
And they're in every culture in the world. Every culture has a word for dragon.
Mm-hmm.
They have some kind of creature in that mythology that represents that reptilian mighty beast, and it commands a degree of respect, no matter what it was. It's like, oh, that's a lizard. There's a dragon.
Yeah. It's a step up, baby.
Even Eskimos had it. You know what I mean?
Goddamn, yeah. I didn't know that much. They deal half damage to steel. Which, that was like, you told me about that last time too, how a warrior with a sword and shield,
Yep.
like blocking the flames of a dragon.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one.
Yeah. I didn't even
Dragons
think
have,
about that one.
yeah, so the dragons in this attack with their own, like, variation of stuff.
Dragon
you know what
Pulse,
I mean?
Draco
Dragon
Meteor.
Wave, Draco Meteor. They're more celestial. They're almost like a light type.
Right.
You know, and that's
Think of Blue
their Dragon
Eyes.
Breath. Dragon Breath is like lightning or a weird colored fire.
Think of Blue Eyes, you know, like
Exactly.
burst stream of destruction.
Yeah,
It's
just
just
breath attack.
concentrated white light, like energy.
Yep, and so it would make sense for Steel to resist that. And, you know, against the blows of a dragon, you want to put on armor. Yeah, okay, it makes sense. I'm going to call it out, though. Personally, I think this is one of those ones where Steel shouldn't resist it. Because, you know, Godzilla just crushing a knight is hilarious to think about, and dragons are so big anyway. I don't think Steel should resist it. I personally think Steel should just do double damage against it, because you take a sword after a dragon. You know what I mean?
At the soft underbelly.
Yep.
And then they deal 0 damage to Fairy. I believe this one a lot of people didn't
So
understand.
the fairy one comes from the saying that fairy tales didn't prove dragons existed. They proved that we could beat them, or that they could be beaten, whatever it is. The idea behind that, though, is that in certain cultures of Asia, it's either Korea or Vietnam, but typically it's the dragon is the emperor, the phoenix is the empress. In that culture, it's the fairy is the empress. So it's a husband and wife thing. And dragons are also embodiments of nature, like fairies themselves. They can't turn their wrath against nature.
Right.
That's where that shtick comes in. Like, fairies are higher up in that nature food chain.
I mean, they're from nature as well. So.
Exactly. They're a little bit more divine.
And then defensively, they received half damage from the original stars: electric, fire, grass, and water.
Yep.
And then they take double from dragon, fairy, and ice.
And you can also perceive fire, water, grass, and electric as
The 4 elements.
the 4 elements of wind, fire, water, and earth. Although we have a ground type, we have flying type. You know, like I'm just saying you could interpret it like that.
Fair enough. And then we covered dragon, fairy, and ice already.
Yes.
That's next. Ghost.
Fun.
Let me load it up. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Ghost. They deal double damage to other ghost and psychic types. Because
Only a ghost can hit a ghost.
And we believe in people are scared of ghosts, so yeah.
Yep.
And then they deal half damage to dark. This is an interesting one you brought up too.
I want to say that's the other one.
Yeah.
That's the other,
This
like,
is
1%.
and it just happened to be with dark again.
Yeah. I want to say, it's... that's right, it goes to the Eastern culture thing. That's what it was. So in the East, you know, they're evil type.
Yes.
And there's a big deal in Eastern culture about... It's in Pokemon Gen 1, about honoring the dead.
Yeah, with Marowak and...
Yeah, it's a big deal. But it didn't really fuck with Team Rocket too much.
Because they're evil.
Because they're evil. They don't care about respecting the dead. So the ghosts only half affect them.
Yeah, because they don't give a shit.
Exactly, man. I really think that's the connection they were going for.
That makes a lot of sense, honestly. And then they deal no damage to normal, which we talked about. They receive half damage, though. Yeah, they receive half damage from bug and poison. You can't.
Again, those are 2 types that attack living things.
Yeah.
You know, and so with them taking half damage, it only makes sense.
Yes.
I could honestly see them being immune to it too.
Right.
That'd be pretty broken, but I could see it.
And then they take double from dark and ghost again, which, yeah,
Yep.
dark evil. They don't give a fuck.
The evil don't care. They will desecrate everybody's tomb.
They receive, and then they don't take damage from normal or fighting types.
Yep. Only type with 2 immunities, correct?
I believe so.
With more than 1?
Here, you could do dark type.
Alright, we are on the last 3.
Evil type. I think
Evil type in Japanese. So, dark types are double damage to ghost psychic for the reasons we've covered before. Half damage to itself, fairy, and fighting. Dark does half damage against Dark. Why? Because they're both sneaky. They both see it coming.
Yeah,
You know?
a double sucker punch. What do you think happens?
It fails. So defensively, they take half damage from itself and Ghost, as we just literally covered, and they do. Oh, I'm sorry. They take half damage from those, and they take double damage from Bug, Fairy, and Fighting. Again, these are reasons we've all already covered.
We didn't cover the fairy.
Oh, you're right. We haven't covered the fairy type.
So they're weak to fairies.
Yes.
Why would evil be weak to fairies?
Why would they, Elon?
I don't know. Because they're beings of light, I suppose?
Yeah, so fairy also kind of fills the niche of the light type, even though they attack with stuff with, like, the moon.
Yeah, oddly enough, huh?
And stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I guess the moon shines light down on Earth, so...
Well, along with being malevolent creatures in the past, fairies have also been holy creatures and sacred, like, used to ward off evil and all that nonsense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense from that. Like I said, fairy fit within the balance of the game. It fit the role of beating dragons, fighting type, and dark type.
Types.
And mythology-wise, it fit the role of beating dragons, fighting, and dark types. So it just happened to be perfect.
Right.
And, they do... They take double damage from fighting. We already covered that.
Yeah.
Immune to psychic, covered, done.
Too sneaky for the smart one.
Now we are on steel. This is a long one. We're actually finishing quicker this time, though.
I've had longer, don't worry.
I know. Steel. Offensively, they do double damage to Fairy, Ice, and Rock. So Fairy, mythologically wise, you could tame fairies with a piece of iron.
That's so cool. I didn't even realize that.
Furthermore, you use iron to chop down trees, which are their home.
Yep.
So you can tie it in on 2 accounts. Ice and rock as well. You use steel to break.
Well, I guess with that logic, steel can be super effective against grass, but the poor thing doesn't need any more weaknesses.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then half damage to electric, fire, steel, and water. Electric makes sense. I could see them being weak to electric personally. Half they'll melt against fire. Steel defends against steel.
Yeah.
And you gonna stab water? Water don't give a shit. Flow on, dude.
Oh man, it's not working.
Defensively, they take half damage from bug, dragon, fairy, flying, grass, ice, normal, psychic, rock, and steel.
Good lord.
10 types out of 18.
Over half.
And before Gen 6, they also resisted dark.
Which is still 10.
Yeah.
Minus fairy.
Yep.
But good lord.
And
over half of the freaking typing.
They take no damage from poison.
Because it will just slide down. You can't poison the middle.
Yep. And they take double damage from fighting, fire, and ground.
All makes sense.
I think, again, they should add electricity into that.
Kind of like a weak to each other kind of deal? Or?
Well, no, I think they should just straight up weak to
Oh,
electricity.
okay. Yeah, I mean, steel can conduct electricity, so
exactly.
Why not?
Alright, and fairy type. Last one. Offensively, good against dark, dragon, and fighting. Covered. They do half damage to fire, poison, and steel.
So the fire. We covered fire, right? Or...
Yeah, we covered fire. For a refresher, they do have to fire because fire
burns down their house.
Yeah, burns their home down. Fire doesn't care, you know. Fire is one of the things that they're trying to control and tame and all that. Defensively, they take half damage from bug, dark, and fighting. Bug, they're both forest creatures.
Yeah, they're higher on the food chain.
That's another one. I think that grass and fairy should resist each other, but that's just me. Immune to dragon, covered that. Dragons can't turn their wrath on fairies.
Yes.
So, take double damage from poison and steel.
Only 2, huh?
Yep. I feel like somebody at Game Freak wanted them to be weak to fire.
It should have been,
It would have made sense. It would have made sense. And we covered why. Poison destroys their world, you tame fairies with iron. And that's the type chart. That's all of it.
All in all, they can change a lot, and it will make the game a lot more interesting.
Definitely, man. We are seeing too many of the same things, and it's not a matter of introducing the right Pokemon to counter it. You need to fix the system.
Mm-hmm.
If the system is inherently broke, no wonder children you throw into the mix are going to be enough to curb that. And is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, we've got a couple things here from Amino and Twitter and whatnot.
Go for it.
So, I didn't really know what kind of poll I wanted to do, but I just went with what was the most broken type.
Personally, I feel it's electric.
So yeah, I went Dragon, Fairy, Electric, or Other. 7 votes on Twitter. Dragon got 14%, Fairy 71%, Electric 14%, and Other 0. But on Amino, 59 votes. We got Dragon with 35.6%, Fairy with 54.2%, Electric with 8.5%, and Other 1.7%. So, yeah, people really don't like fairies, apparently.
In defense of fairy type, most of them suck.
What defensive fairy types are even there? Like Sylveon?
Clefable and Sylveon.
Yeah.
And Sylveon's half a powerhouse because of Pixelate.
I love my Sylveon, so...
Well, yeah, I like Sylveon too, but... I'm sorry, the Tapus. The Tapus single-handedly make that type suck. Make that type freaking miserable.
Yeah.
That's another one. The Tapus are legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Tapu Bulu, the grass one's the only one that should be allowed in there.
4 times weak to
yes.
poison.
Yes. Either that or they need to go back and cut some of those stats in half, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is ridiculous. It's like weather. They're like megas, almost.
With the terrain?
Yeah, some of them aren't. Like, freaking Tapu Fini is as strong as a mega. Defensively. She is as strong as the best defensive megas out there. And you wanna know what's awesome about her? She changes the weather like a mega.
Oh my gosh.
She changes the terrain like a
terrain.
mega. And she doesn't cost a mega stone. So what's the point of using a defensive one when you have her?
That's
it's like
ridiculous.
Cresselia.
Oh, Cresselia. But in response to that, Bucky at TH3 Applejack said, "To all the fairy haters, please no." I believe that's his favorite typing.
Yeah, because he's a big fan of Gardevoir.
Gardevoir and all the fairies, really. Alolan Ninetales is part fairy, right?
Yes.
Ice fairy? Yeah, that's one of his favorites. So Amino also reacting to the polls. Meme Boy said, "Psychic. We all know it too well. In Gen 1 at least."
Yeah, in Gen 1, completely agree with you, man.
Had one weakness.
That's why Lugia wasn't water type, by the way.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Lugia is psychic type, and there's an interview about this, you can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Lugia is psychic type because back when they were developing it, that was a symbol of being a strong Pokemon.
The psychic?
Yes, logically he should have been flying dragon or water dragon or flying water.
Because he's a guardian of the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or flying water. That way he would also have a 4 times weakness like Ho.
Mm-hmm. That would have made sense.
Yep.
And then, with Psychic, the strongest move was Twin Needle? That was super effective against Psychic?
Yes, and that was only usable by Beedrill, and I feel Beedrill was supposed to be stronger than he was.
At least he got a Mega years later.
And it still sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Really bad about that.
But then we got some guy who I can't pronounce because it's kanji, I believe. All he said was, "That's racist." He's talking about the typing. That's racist. Alright. Diamond the Articuno said, "I could go with ghost types."
That dude's name is Diamond the Articuno?
This next guy, yeah. I could
Oh
go
my
with
God.
I could go with ghost types. I have some ghosts and they're freaking OP, or poison types. Lol. Poison types, I'm gonna have to disagree. Because they're
Poison could be pretty dope.
It
but
could, man.
if Poison was super effective against every living type, because we talked about this, some types are like elements of nature, some are living creatures like Bug and Dragon. If it was super effective against everything that lived, I think that Bug would be Poison would be super broke, and I would be absolutely okay with it.
It would make sense.
Because most of them suck anyway, type-wise. Gengar would be annoying, but we took Levitate away from him, so it's not like it's that big a deal anymore.
We talked Amazing Alolan Raichu. We talked about him already. Same with Jelly Donuts. Video Game Boy. I agree with you on the electric typing. Other than that, I think it's fine.
Yeah, my man.
Just give it a one more weakness, guys. Just
I know.
one more weakness.
Yeah, I'm saying just rock. Just
Yeah,
rock
man.
type. Give it at least weak to rock.
And then the last one, he's a pretty long one. Circus Freak Danny said, an easy fix would be making whatever type resists something would also be super effective on it. For example, making Fairy weak to fire, and vice versa, except for the types that are super effective against themselves. Some other fixes would be making fighting weak to itself because fighters knock each other out. Make grass resist dark because the other starter types resist the other in later gens. And then and give normal or resistance to fairy, perhaps, and maybe give a random type of ghost or dark type weakness. So
I forgot. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, fairy. They should resist fairy because they shouldn't believe in fairies.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's the same reason with ghost.
Yep. Well, why not dragons? Because every culture has dragons.
Yeah.
Not every culture has fairies.
And then the whole thing about making a Pokemon, making it strong against whatever it resists. My answer to that: steel types. It resists 10.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. That would split. That would break the metagame right open, man.
If steel was good against not only what
Honestly,
it was strong against already, but the 10 additional.
Somebody at Smogon make that game type. I want to play it.
Nothing but steel types everywhere. And then I guess what else did he say? What do you think about fighting being weak to fighting?
I like the idea that they're not, but I could totally see that. I want to see more types that are weak against each other.
Right.
And not resist. Just want to see more types
like a ghost
rock
thing.
and ice. I want to see more rock and ice weak to each other.
That'd be
so much
fun. It would
fun.
make sense too. I don't know why they didn't do it. But I guess that's all I had on here.
If you had to add one extra type, what would it be?
Oh God!
Right now, yeah, I pulled this one. Surprise.
No, oh man. Well, because there's what else would there be? Because we got the elements already. We got mystical creatures now. Yep. Shoot, I'm pulling up a blank.
I want to say there's actually a pretty obvious one.
What do you think?
No, actually, I was hoping that you would pick up on it.
Oh,
but, wind could be a type.
I guess so.
They combine that with flying. They combine that with flying, but
I mean, they have rock and ground.
Yeah.
So wind and steel, or wind and flying. That could be a separate thing, I suppose.
One I was going to say is, oh right, I remember what it was. Gravity type.
Gravity type.
That would be a fun one. We have a gravity move. It's psychic. And then we have, black hole techniques that are dark. And then I think a couple of ghost ones might have gravity stuff.
Would that be, kind of space kind of related?
Yeah, a space element.
Interesting.
That could be a fun one. Yeah. That could be a fun one. And then the last one... Well, we already have ghost type, so that's already... Why don't we have a zombie Pokemon yet?
Oh, God.
We already have ghosts.
What about,
Make it normal ghost type.
What about straight up light? Do you think Dragon and Fairy already kind of fit that criteria?
Yeah, Dragon and Fairy already kind of covered the criteria. They missed it already. I think that the time is done.
Sense.
And honestly, I don't know. I'm with you, man. At this point, we already have a ground and rock. I mean, come on. You want fire and lava, you know? We already have water and ice. That's stupid enough.
Fucking shoe type. I don't know.
Shoe type. Leather.
Oh God, weak to fire.
Everything's weak to fire.
I don't know. I guess that's it. I don't really have anything else.
Yep, guys, hit us with it in the comments.
Yes, we have this. I know it's a long one, but
we could have a beast type, but then half the cast would be recast as beast type.
Oh God. No shit. Yeah, I know it's a long one, but hopefully you guys learned a thing or two. I certainly did.
Yeah. I learned something even doing this the second time.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 o'clock at night.
Only took an hour. That's no big deal.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to say real quick also, as of recently, I hit 100 new subscribers since starting Chat-eau.
Yeah.
Because it was 922 when I started, and it's over 1,022.
Still more than every other YouTube friend of ours.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
And
this
so-
is for you, I guess.
I do plan on doing a giveaway of some sort. I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm gonna do it, but stick around for a giveaway. We'll see what we can do.
Maybe a copy of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
So maybe I don't know.
I'll help fund that.
All right.
That'll be a fun giveaway. Let's make that the giveaway. They just have to be patient.
Well, for that, I had something in mind for the giveaway as well. It's just thinking about how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I gotta stick around for that. Until then, I'm Joel Tilon.
And I'm Cam-o.
And thank you guys very much for listening. You guys have a great day. And screw you, Cam.